Stay around. We have a great panel coming up. We're going to be talking about blockchain and blockchain usage in community. I'd like to bring on Diana Adachi and her guests, Karla Cordoba, who's who's built a great company in, I think, South America, right? Cambiatus and
in Costa Rica.
Yeah, Costa Rica. And they're using blockchain to actually helping community and especially women, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Wonderful. So are we still waiting? I know someone had to drop out because of an emergency, but
yeah, we're still waiting on the others, but I think we can go ahead anyway.
Yeah. Now the other person is Crystal Rose. I think she should be able to join us. So yes, unfortunately, Grace can't. But thank you, Kareem. Really, it's great to be here, and I had an opportunity to present last time, not the last one, in the middle of the summer with Karla, and we were talking about resilient communities then. And I think that based on even the last conversation or the last panel, I think this topic that we're going to be speaking about is very timely. You know, we know that cryptocurrencies right now is very popular, particularly with what we're seeing that's happening with Bitcoin. But I think as we enter in the next 10 years, there's a lot of opportunities for investors in blockchain-based infrastructure. And you know, we see that particularly as we're going through this tumultuous times, and the impact that COVID has made on all societal institutions, and how it's really wreaked havoc on a number of individuals. So with innovations like blockchain, and certainly with crypto, you know, it's incumbent upon us to help build and rebuild societies so that individuals can thrive and survive. So what Karla and hopefully, as I said, Chris will be able to join, is talk a little bit about the infrastructure that they're working on to do exactly that, to help create these resilient communities, and what they've been doing in terms of enhancing their platform to be able to do more with that. And so I'm going to turn it over right now to Karla, have Karla introduce herself. I met Karla about 3 years ago at Singularity University, where she was launching Cambiatus. And so I'm going to have you start off, just introduce yourself, and then, you know, maybe just talk a lot about, you know, what motivated you to work with cryptocurrency, and, you know, what has been the you know, surprising outcome that you've seen from this year, you know, based on, you know, what we've been enduring. So Karla, if you can give us turn it over to you. You're on mute.
So we need a better system for 2021, one that's unmuted automatically. So I'm happy. Thank you, Diana, for having me. Thank you, everyone. My name is Karla Cordoba. I'm from Costa Rica in Central America, and my background, I say that my first life, my first life was in advertising and communications and marketing. Then my second life was in environmental conservation in Costa Rica, which is a huge area in the country, community conservation projects, and how to ensure that people that live near to this beauty, nature, and these resources can also have a dignified life, a good economy, and can also contribute to the conservation. That was my second life in Costa Rica. I worked for in an NGO for many years here. And then I think I'm in my third life, and then I discovered blockchain and technology. I have always been a really, really huge fan of technology for good. But then I decided to get into blockchain for the potential of the technology in building these communities, as Diana said. So that is pretty much my background. I did my master's degree in community development. I did a program at Singularity University in Silicon Valley. And I'm a pretty proud Should I Work Foundation fellow. I'm part of the fellowship, which is a group of people working on open source. So that's me in a nutshell. And to your question, Diana, about why going into blockchain, why going into cryptocurrencies and these things. In the previous panel, they were talking about the 2008 crisis and that it actually created many of the big companies we know today. And most of the time you hear stories about that from the companies or from the banks. But from my perspective, I was someone working in a small country in Central America, working on conservation projects. For me, the crisis meant not having more funding for my projects. And it was really frustrating because we had people in local communities in Costa Rica wanting to do work with us, educational programs, conservation programs. Then we had the technical elements, the people there on the field ready to work. We had the ideas, the projects, and suddenly what was missing was the dollars, the money to put everything to work. And that's a paradox because you have all the value there. You have the people, the ideas, the minds, the projects, the objectives, and you don't have money to move everything around. And I did a lot of fundraising, which is also really frustrating when you're working at an NGO during a crisis. So my thinking was should be something else. Someone that is doing good work should be able to be resilient about that work, should be able to have options, a plan B. And to the topic of the panel, resilient communities, the thing is, these important things, educational processes, conservation, collaboration, should remain active during a crisis, even if you don't have enough dollars around. But what is the alternative? So I met my husband and my co-founder and partner in crime, as I like to say, Ranulfo, about that time. And he was researching on complementary currencies and new types of money and how the financial system works and what is money and how money is created. And that blew my mind because that was the answer. So if we think about the financial system as something that we created with some rules and some values behind it, and it works in a certain way with certain players, we can create other systems that can remain, and then we can create other systems that can help us in different contexts to achieve different things. And we can define the values behind it and the agreements or the rules. And that's the word, the key word, agreements. So unlocking that in my mind was the key element, understanding that we can come up with different agreements, different ways to collaborate, different ways to transfer value. And we are seeing now the cryptocurrencies as one of those vehicles. Social currencies are also one of those vehicles to create these different financial or economic collectives and achieve things together. So that was, when I discovered that, was a life changer moment. And then we decided to create what we have now, which is Cambiatus.
So one of the things, and I just want to touch on that, I know that there was different communities that we've seen, not only just in Central America and Latin America, but certainly in Africa as well. And one of the previous sessions, they were talking about, the fact of cryptocurrencies and the utility of the cryptocurrencies is being able to be used in developing markets. And I think that, I know that in some of the projects that you've been working on, we've had conversations with the World Food Bank, who's doing a lot of work in creating, looking at creating a currency specifically to help with being able to attach that to food as an asset. And I think that in particular in Africa with the various agricultural sector, and that's really tied closely to when you talk about payments there. And so they're different in all different countries within Africa who are working on the different types of coins, but really it's not so much. You have Bitcoin, but why are these complementary currencies? Why create something different and why not just use Bitcoin? And I have a thought around that, but I thought, Karla, maybe you can explain further as to why these complementary currencies and not just Bitcoin are so pivotal to helping these communities flourish, and what does that mean over a period of time?
Yes, wonderful question. I think there are many interesting things to talk about there. First, if you think about why having not only Bitcoin but other elements, it could be the same question: why not having only dollars, right? Not having Bitcoin at all. the resilience, the alternative, the diversity of this economic system is crucial. And I always give this example, which is kind of fun. You can imagine a panda bear. The panda bear only eats bamboo, right? And it's good and it's healthy, only eating bamboo, all good. But when the panda cannot find bamboo because, I don't know, it's climate change, right? No more bamboo for the panda, he's dead. He cannot adapt. He cannot have other foods because the system is completely created based on bamboo. But if you have the grizzly bear, let's say the cousin of the panda, the grizzly bear can eat salmon, it can eat roots, it can eat fruits, it can eat all sorts of things. And if there is no fish around, it can eat roots, and there is no roots around, it can eat fruits. The grizzly bear is okay always because it's resilient, has alternatives. And that's the type of financial system we want to build. The one we know is only dependent in one type of food, one type of currency, fiat money. But the one that we are building has Bitcoin, which is maybe the fish, and it has also a social currency that is maybe the fruits. And then it has also a time bank that is based on time. And that's another type of food for people. And depending on how people is and what they need and the context they are living, they might choose to use different vehicles. And as many they have, it's better because they are resilient. If there is no Bitcoin around because the prices got up, maybe the person chooses to use another vehicle, another currency. And if you build those currencies based on the needs of the people, you co-design that based on the objectives that people have. For example, you can say, we want people to learn, to improve how they understand money, how they understand the financial system, how they understand cryptocurrencies. And you build a system in which if you learn about Bitcoin or if you learn about the financial system, let's say you see a video, 5-minute video on what is Bitcoin and what is blockchain. You're learning something. For those 5 minutes you invested, then you get 5 learning coins. Right? So now you have 5 learning coins, and then you watch another one and did a full course. Now you have 100 learning coins. And those learning coins are actually representing your learning, your time invested in learning something new, which is what this community wants. And then with those learning coins, you can go to a marketplace with other people from the community, and they are exchanging products and services. And they are accepting the learning coins because they know if I accept learning coins from you, Diana, I can use them with Karim because he's also accepting the learning coins. He's part of the community too. And then the magic happens. You have a currency that is based on the actions of people, based of what we want to achieve together, which is learning. And now you have created a little economic system, a marketplace, an exchange mechanism for people. And they can save their dollars, they can save their Bitcoins for the future as an investment, and they can use their complementary currency or their social currency to exchange between them. So we have money to fulfill different purposes in life. They can invest in Bitcoin, it's a store of value for the future, and they can use their complementary currency, their learning coins to exchange. That's another function of money. Different functions, different types of money, a more diverse ecosystem, more resilient community.
So Karla, you talked about, right, the one point you just said there about ecosystems, and that's really what this is all about, because you're talking about different communities, different stakeholders within those communities. So when you think back about this year, and I know that you've worked with a number of different communities, what do you think is the hardest challenge to overcome in building these sustainable communities? Like what you've learned this year, what would you suggest in going forward that how you would do things differently in overcoming that hurdle?
The way we work is kind of is based on networks, right? So at Cambiatus, we have a software that people can use to create these complementary currencies and a methodology. But the currencies are not our currencies, are some community currencies. Maybe it is a group of people in Costa Rica represented by a local company called Fundes, for example. We have one project with them, or another one is a company called eCoins, which is an ecological coin. And they have a lot of users, and this company promotes this currency. Or in Brazil, it's a company, community called Mura, and it has like kind of a collective and association behind it, and it can be a cooperative. So we have different partners in different places. And each of these partners, they have a team of people that is actually promoting the currency and co-designing and actively inviting other people to join. So these teams, these people leading these projects, the most crucial part for me is the mindset change. And we were, the panel before it was talking about, Jesse was talking about education and what we need to learn about these things. And it's a complete different mindset to create this type of, we call it DAOs, right? Decentralized autonomous organizations, a group of people that uses tokens or complementary currencies or to exchange and to share value and to achieve things. To do that, you need to kind of switch off the old mindset and kind of like Neo in Matrix, right? Learn something new really quickly. I think that's the most challenging thing to do that. It's amazing when you see it happening, when you see someone that started to think about money and then suddenly they reach to that aha moment, right? Like, oh, but we can create this. We can create different types of money. That's so cool. And they understand. But that's a process. So I think the learning curve is important, and having even more over time, more of these social entrepreneurs that understand that they can be more resilient and that they can build these communities. So what we are doing is actually focusing. My first venture was actually focused on that and education, and then we decided to do Cambiatus because to learn something you need to learn the idea and then be able to put it into practice, right? But now we are spinning off, kind of doing a spin-off of that educational part to something called Cambiatus University, to actually teach those entrepreneurs, the next generation, and hopefully they will have a completely different worldview and mindset, a new context too, a better 2021 to create new projects and things. But I think that's one of the biggest challenges to teach the old ideas.
And when you look at, so you've spoken a little bit about these communities. So for a lot of the people that might be on this, who are listening in right now, is what you're doing, are these very small communities? Are they very large? Like, are we talking about a market that is, maybe, 1 million people, or are we talking about something that's fairly significant? Because you talked a lot about, helping communities get through crisis. So, if you think about the market size and the different organizations that you can affect, what do you think, or what do you see as the opportunity out there in terms of the size that you can affect?
Sure. I mean, if you think about how many cooperatives are in the world, how many millions of cooperatives are in the world, how many members they have, if you think about those networks, that's a huge potential. If you think about communities right now that after the COVID pandemic, you have millions of people unemployed, millions of people outside of the job market. And if you can create a solution, a community, a currency, a way to connect these people and give them the alternative to be active and to do something like learning or to contribute to society, and then earn this currency that they can use somehow inside this community, and that will leverage their potential, their energy, because everyone has something. Even if you don't have dollars, you have your time, you have your energy, you have your knowledge, you have something to offer. And many of those resources are actually wasted right now with people unemployed on their houses, not knowing what to do because of this crisis. So that's a huge potential of transformation, of connecting people, of creating new communities towards objectives that we all want to achieve. If you think a small country like Costa Rica has only 5 million people, 5 million inhabitants, half a million people got unemployed just because COVID. 500,000 people that need an alternative and a plan B. So I think that's a huge potential to connect these people and create new marketplaces based on what people actually care the most.
And if you, as a number of people here are, again, may not be quite as familiar with the type of platform you have and working in creating these communities, a number of people here are investors. What's your parting words to to these investors, about companies like yours who, and there is unfortunately Grace Torellis who couldn't join us. She does Blockchain for Humanity, and Crystal Rose who has SenseChat. It's a first messaging app that, looks like Crystal might be able to join us. Hey, Crystal, we've got 6 minutes left. Maybe you want to just give, just a little bit of your background on what you're working on and how you're working on creating communities. And Kareem, I'm, certainly very cognizant we only have about 5 minutes left. So Crystal, if you would like to just.
Welcome. First of all, Diana, thank you, Karla, thank you, Crystal. I'm glad you could join us. Amazing conversations about how that learning community and trading of earning currency through learning is amazing. So before we had both Brent of BRD and we had Jesse of Draper Ventures, both were talking about educating women more succinctly on investment strategies using crypto, Bitcoin, whatever. It would be a great opportunity for you people to connect with her and connect with Brent and facilitate that learning environment and earn some currency. I just wanted to say that before we give it to Crystal. Crystal, thank you for joining us, but I'm sure you have a lot to add to this conversation. I just summarized the conversation for you that we've been having.
Thanks, Kareem. Crystal.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I will do my best to provide as much value in these few minutes as possible that I can. I'm in Puerto Rico, and here, as we do not have daylight savings time, our team in LA sometimes does not have efficiency on the calendar. So I'm very, very sorry for joining you late. But Puerto Rico is a great place for the crypto community, and just jumping in on how we're sort of building community. I love what Karla is working on at Cambiatus as well. And I just, I wish I was deeper into this part of the conversation, because that is the one thing that I think has been the most common thread. It takes a community to all agree on the value of something in order for these things to work efficiently. And cryptocurrency is 100% dependent on sharing communities. So, this is really deeply important. I'm Crystal Rose, and I'm currently working on a company called Make Sense Labs. We build communication tools with blockchain technology. We have an encrypted secure messenger that allows people to not only keep their data safe, but also share crypto within their communities and do that within their channels. I also am the founder of Shios, which is a blockchain node operator. We mined different currencies. We just started on the ETH 2.0 chain. And we take the rewards that are coming in from those mining rewards, and we put those back into scholarships for women in technology, specifically women that we want to bring into the blockchain space. And I've also done a lot in technology. I'd love to answer any specific question if there's something that you think would be the most value that I could answer for the panel.
Well, I have one, Crystal, and that's like you're going out there creating this whole new peer-to-peer messaging service. And we have other services. We've got there's WhatsApp and Telegram and a number of others. With what you're doing, what's your perspective? Like, why are you doing this now? And what do you think about when you were launching this platform?
Well, I think all of us here have been through the entirety of the phases of the internet. We're the last of the generations of people who lived in an analog world. And so we've seen the origination of the web 1.0, we've seen 2.0. This is web 3.0. We are now witnessing all of the incumbent systems having a major change of guard, a major shift in their practices. And one of the biggest challenges with our social networks, which govern every social connection that the world has right now, one of the biggest problems is there's a misaligned incentive. The platform does not have the same incentive as the user or the participant. The content creator is providing all of the value. Facebook is the largest media company in the world that has no content that it produces. It's 100% created by the user, and yet the advertiser, the investor, and the platform all benefit, and the user does not. So in this new system with blockchain technology specifically, we're able to come up with a new way where we can allow people to get a direct benefit from their contributions. We started with messaging because it's the thing that everyone does the most. It's likely the thing that you do the most on your phone. And it's also the thing that, just like Bitcoin, should be able to be done in a peer-to-peer way with no intermediary. Meaning, we're having a conversation. We should be able to have that conversation without surveillance. We should be able to talk on our phone just like we do in person. And so what we wanted to do is create a messaging system that works more like a cash, or more like a peer-to-peer transaction. And that is, it seems really simple and it seems really obvious, but actually all of your conversations, even if they're encrypted, can be decrypted or are just stored in an unencrypted way, like Telegram. There's nothing encrypted about Telegram unless you do specifically a private message. So we wanted to start there. We just wanted to say, you know, it's possible for you to have choices. It's possible for you to not have to use a platform where your data is taken and monetized on. Nobody's brokering your privacy. That was the starting point. And then the second part was, well, the cryptocurrency market has given us the option to have a global financial system where anyone can freely trade. And so we wanted to add that on as a layer. But even more importantly, when you're a participant in the network, you're earning cryptocurrency, and you're earning because you're validating the network. We have a method that works just like mining, but you don't have to actually use any resources on your phone. So just by participating, just by chatting, you're earning the Sense tokens on the Sense Chat app. And other applications are doing this. We are not the first, and hopefully definitely not the last. We want to be in the Web 3.0 movement, in which every single major system that you participate in, you are getting a tangible reward for that. You know, and that goes back to the community aspect. You are a part of the system. You're not just a user, you're a participant. And that is a very clear distinction that we're starting to see being made in these new platforms.
And I think that's absolutely right. If you look at a lot of those large technology companies, and it's, you know, feels very one-sided. And what you're doing here is including the users as part of, you know, having ownership basically through tokens. And so I think it's a great balance, and it's rebalancing, I think, value and into these communities, which is really what's missing here. So
may I comment on that quickly, Diana, just to summarize? Yeah, because it has a built-in incentive, and that what Crystal was saying is wonderful, because we need people together, and most of the time we are chasing the users. And when you create a community that has this incentive built in, and it's aligned with their values, people is going to come. It's a no-brainer. They stay, and they are loyal, and they are members, and they are part of this. Yeah. And whichever business model you build on top of that is collectively owned, everyone gets a piece: the investor, the member, the user. No-brainer. It works. It works, and it's the type of organization we need in the future. It's the type of organization you all need to be investing. This is the future.